How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another race, real life race this time, which is exciting. And it's also exciting because I've done this race before, but I'll get into that in a bit. So we're right into it because, again, I am late to start the camera. I really got to get better at that for the starting line, but we're just doing basically a neutral rollout here around the parking lot. This is the 2024 Pedal Away Prostate Cancer 25-mile road race, and I have done this one before. This was my first ever race video that I posted here, so I'll link it up in one of these corners, and you can kind of take a look at last year's footage and everything. This one was quite a different race, and we will get into all of that in a bit, but before that, let's chat a bit about kind of the thinking going into it and the field and all that stuff. So we are riding just around the parking lot, do a quick little neutral lap around the parking lot, and then we get straight into it. So I remember last year that I had a little bit of catching up to do towards the beginning, and so I wanted to stay up at the front around this little neutral pack, and I do an okay job doing that. There's a little chasing here, but I kind of maintain touch with the front, which is great because we are like full gas after this neutral rollout. Like as soon as we hit the highway, which is when the neutral rollout is supposed to end, we are absolutely full gas the entire time. So so it's good that I kind of hung out at the front. You'll see we'll make a little left-hand turn coming up here, and then we just start hammering it, which is quite a bit different than last year. So I was kind of going into this race thinking how have I improved from last year. So I've been more seriously training this year. I've definitely been racing quite a bit more because I wasn't racing in real life at all last year. I really wanted to see how I compare to where I was at the exact same time last season. And you can tell now. So this end of the neutral start, and we're up to 31 miles an hour. Like we were booking at the beginning here. So anyway, like I was saying, I wanted to see how my fitness and how my kind of abilities as a racer specifically relate to last year at the same time. So we'll talk about numbers and things in a bit, but I can say that this was a completely different race than last year. Last year, as much as it was not difficult, it was hard at the time. It felt much more like a hard group ride, and so you can compare numbers and things, but it was just completely different this year. But it was good fun, great fun actually, and like definite like racing tactics and things come into play, which was awesome. Like it was so much fun to actually get to think about those things and not think about just absolutely dying. So anyway, the course, so it's a 25-mile race, and 25.5 I think is 40k, so just over 25 miles, and it is kind of a big loop, kind of out and back big loop type thing. You'll see the course up there on the right, and it's mostly flat. We're going over this little overpass here, and this is really the only thing to speak of. So there's this one at the beginning, and then we do the exact same thing coming back at the end, and that'll come into play definitely. But for the remainder, it's relatively flat. So some gentle up and downs, but nothing to speak of really. There's also not a whole lot of turns. There are some, and there's a little surge in effort at past those turns. I found that last year to be probably one of the big surprises, but this year, I kind of knew about it, but also with the crit racing that I've been doing this summer, I guess I don't know. I'm either a better bike handler, or I also don't mind that quite as much. I still don't want the surges, but I was a bit more prepared for it, I guess. So yeah, that's that's pretty much the course. It is basically closed, so we have a police escort in the front, and then there's volunteers at all the corners. So like the race itself is really, really well organized and well done. And I remember that from last year. Like it's just good. Actually, we're coming up on this first corner, and I really was not paying attention, and I just like nearly overcooked it, but it did manage to hold it upright there. But so it's really well put together, well organized, and everything. And it's kind of cool for me because so last year being my first race, I was really just I had no idea what to expect. I was really just kind of there to try to hang on, so I did do it. I think if I was at the same point last year, this year, there's no way that I would have been hanging on to this front pack, because the the front pack. I mean, we were moving, but there was definite tactics and a design to that. So. It's interesting for me now that I have a little bit more experienced racer now. Been doing it for a year. I can actually kind of think about these things. And in a crit race, like I'm still not the best bike handler in the world, so I'm still thinking about like not crashing on the corners and not crashing in huge groups of riders. So for there to be like a big wide open course with not a lot of corners and everything, I actually got the chance to like think about moves and tactics and like actually think about moving up. I was on the front a number of times, like pacing a bit. So like it was kind of cool to be able to think about that and not think about just like straight dying while I'm riding. So so let's talk a little bit about the race. This is a 25-mile race, and there were a little over 50 participants in this 25-mile. That includes some non-competitive. So I don't know the breakdown or anything like that, but there was a competitive and non-competitive groups. This is kind of like a charity ride too for the prostate cancer awareness in Delaware. And so it's great cause, well organized, but it's also a qualification race for the Delaware Senior Olympics. It's a race. I mean, it's full out. So some of the players, last year there was a really big team that had, I think, 5 or 6 riders, kind of all in the front group, and they were kind of keeping everybody in check, I guess. But this year, no huge teams, but one to note is there's one. The winner last year, and you'll see him here. He's in this front group. Well, excuse me. The winner last year, he is on a guys racing, and they have three guys in this front group or in the race, and one of them won last year. One of them is the guy in the white and orange and brownish jersey, and then the other one is the Stars and Stripes jersey. So he's also the reigning national men's crit masters champion in one of the masters age groups. So that is a super strong team, obviously. And it was pretty evident from the gun or from the start that they wanted to keep the pace fast. at the beginning, and they did. It was very fast. It was blazing the first first kind of 12 miles, I would say. And it seemed to me that, I mean, I was still just trying to hang on here because it was, it was quick. But I think what they were trying to do is, just establish a little front pack and kind of separate some of the competitive or non-competitive riders. And they did that. So it seemed like they were taking turns, taking pulls on the front just to keep the pace high. And it was, the pace was very high. So let's see. So quick numbers. What do we got? So last year, and this is what I was expecting for this year. Last year, the first half of the race, the first 12, 13 miles, we averaged 22.6 miles per hour. And wind, I mean, it definitely comes into effect here. I don't quite remember the wind direction last year, but it was, I mean, there was some wind. This year, on the way back, we hit more of a headwind. So the way out, there's a little bit of a tailwind. I mean, it wasn't, it was definitely there, but it wasn't a huge, hey, look, I'm on the front. That's exciting. I'm not used to riding on the front. Look at me. So I do take some pulls. So last year, let's say first 13-ish miles, so the first half of the race. Last year we averaged 22.6 miles per hour and averaged 189 watts. So looking at it last year, I thought that was pretty quick, pretty fast. This year, if I was averaging 189, I would be pretty comfortable. So this year, the first 12 to 13-ish miles, I averaged 220, so over 30 watts more. And we averaged 27 miles an hour for the first 13 miles of this race. Like I said, some with the wind, but it was it was fast. It was quick. We were moving. You'll see here. So the Stars and Stripes in front of us. He would take turns on the front, and then we passed another. So it was the black and like neon green-ish Pinarello that he's the one that won last year. So there, my thinking was that his team was keeping it fast for him again this year, and they did. So 27 miles an hour first half of the race. I mean, that's fast. That was very fast. That's why I said it's a completely different race. There's no way last year that I would have been able to hang on to this group. So I mean, really quickly, we're 6 miles in, and I think I'm on the back of the front group here, and we have a pretty significant gap behind me to the next rider. I mean, we pretty quickly established a group of about 10, a little more, maybe 11 or 12, I think. We're in this front at the moment. I think maybe one guy gets dropped a little later, but so there's like 10 to 12-ish riders in the front pack here, and we end up kind of all staying together. So my thinking for this race before the race was, if it was going to be like last year, that I was probably going to try to take a little throw a little attack in, maybe 8 or 9 miles or so to go, just because I thought that I would have some better fitness this year, and that I'd be able to maintain that to the line, because I really didn't want it to run it. You'll see another the guy that I just passed on the left. He just got done his pull, and he's on that same team. So they were keeping that pace high. Yeah, so like I said, so if it was going to be the same as last year, same average speed and everything, I was thinking, 8 or 9 miles or so that I try to, throw in an attack. And I talked about this with my buddy Bill, who's also in this front group with us. And say, because we think, we could probably work together to make a gap and hold it till the line, because neither one of us are, I would say, like, super high class sprinters. I'm much too small to be a sprinter, so I really didn't want it to come down to like a bunch sprint like it did last year, because there's no way that I can out sprint these guys. So I really kind of wanted to get into a breakaway, and you could argue that this group of like 10 to 12 riders is a breakaway, but I kind of wanted to be off the front, in order to give myself the best chance to win, or to place high. The last year I ended up, it was like 9th or 10th. It's kind of right in the middle of the front pack, but there were about 20 or so in the front pack last year. This year it's quite a bit dwindled down. So that was a plan, and that plan quickly, very quickly changed because of this pace. So yeah, we're still, we're still up 28, 30 miles an hour. We're booking. Like, I'm tired. You can see my heart rate right now. I'm at 176. I averaged over 170 for the race. I think it's like 172 or something for the race, which for the hour is quite high for me. Last year, I think it was like 166, and like last year I was very anxious and nervous and everything, so I expected to be much higher. But yeah, so we were working, so I really had not a lot left for any kind of attacks, especially at the moment. Just trying to hang on here. The race does change a little bit though, and I'll try to get into that because I think I even realized it at the time, which is new for me. I don't, like I said, I don't normally get the ability to think about tactics, but so I do, which is kind of cool. So you can see now I'm sort of just trying to stick with everybody, and while we're doing that, we'll chat about maybe some of the other riders. So in the orange and green and black up there on the left, that is Bill, and he's done a number of races with me. There is also one of the guys that did it last year, from a team out of DC, them Bama boys out of DC. So his name is Kwame. He's the purple and orange kit. He did it last year as well. And I think I pointed out the racing guys already. There were a couple other guys in this group. There's other guys on the right. And then you see this guy on the left here that I'm passing in like the lightning kit. It's from a group called the Wheel Suckers here in Delaware, and he has a couple of teammates in this group as well. So there's that team, and then so you see here Kwame up here on the left, and then there's the guys team that were the major teams up here. The guys teams definitely had a plan going into it. They executed that plan. I think they went 1, 2, 3. Possibly. What was I going to say? So that's our like makeup of this front group, and then there's a few sort of unattached guys. So me being one of them, and I think 2 more. But at some point in here, you'll see somebody kind of pass us, and then take off the front. So he goes off the front, and he stays off the front for a good 5 or so miles, which is quite interesting. But I think the group keeps him at enough of enough of a distance that they were going to be able to pull him back. I think that they, just sort of maintained that gap to him. But for the most part, I mean, we're just sort of plugging along here at our high pace. So what I will do is go ahead and let this play, and then we'll talk about as we get a little closer to the finish, because at the moment, other than that one attack, there's not a whole lot happening. It's just kind of me trying to hang with this pace. But you'll see, I'll let it play in real speed, and then you can kind of take a look. It's a little bit hard from my vantage point to see what's going on, but you should be able to see. And you see, we are passing some riders. I think they're riders from the 50-mile race that started just a little bit before us, and they are kind of at the tail end of that pack, so we're passing them. So yeah, I will go ahead and let this play, and then pick it up with maybe 10 or so miles to go. and we'll pick it up again. About almost 20 miles. So we got a little over 5 miles to go, and you can see. I mean, my heart rate's still like mid 170s, which is still quite high. But I have managed to hang out with the front pack, which is excellent in my mind. And it was kind of like roundabout here. I'm thinking pre-race that I was going to throw an attack in or something, but I mean, there's no way that that's happening. I think at this point there's still one guy up the road by maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds or so. I don't know quite. Oh yeah, you'll see it. So I do take the front after Kwame here pulls off. I do take the front, and you don't see the motorcycles kind of right in front of me, so that he must still be up the road. But at some point we do pull him back. But he was out there. It was super strong. He was out there for at least over 5 miles by himself, I think, which is pretty crazy. But we are coming back now, so we are against a headwind. So our speed has dropped a bit, but so we can compare it to last year as well. So I said last year, our last half of the race, I was averaging a little over 24 and a half-ish miles. 24-ish, 25 miles an hour-ish coming back. This year, I did note more of a headwind coming back, but we averaged 24 miles per hour. So, maybe a little bit, slightly slower than last year, but certainly didn't feel it. So if you look at my power, last year I averaged 181 watts coming back. This year I averaged 204. So I'm still like over 20 watts faster than I was, or not faster, but stronger than I was last year coming back. So yeah, so it's kind of cool to see that and to see the difference between last year and this year. It was, interesting to take a look at the numbers after the fact. But like I said, I don't think I would have been able to hang with this group last year at all. There'd be no chance. As soon as I loaded the Strava file up, I PR'd everything from like 5 miles up to 40K in terms of power and time and speed and everything, and that includes like some crit races. Most of my crit races are shorter, so in like the 30 to 40 minute range, but the longer ones, I do some of the practice GV30 races are like an hour or over an hour, and for power output, I put out more power here. So it was great. I mean, it's kind of interesting to see. But I'm still in the pack. So unlike last year, if I would have done this last year, I probably would have been off the front. But we don't do that. So I'm happy to be here, though. Happy to be in this group. And I think at the moment we have brought that one rider back, I believe. So we are all together. Yeah, it looks like it. Again, it's hard for me to see. It's also hard for me to see most things. So especially in this race where you can kind of look at the tactics and things. Like I was saying before, in crit races, I'm so focused on like not crashing that I don't really think about tactics. Because I'm trying to stand a bunch, but the being able to think about the tactics is interesting. But for obviously, I'm a bit of a smaller rider, so it's hard for me to see, I think, over the tops of people. So I don't really, I'm not really able to see what's going on at the front. Especially the camera view, because it's under my handlebars. But so I think that was something that I noticed. Because I'm thinking about these racing tactics now, but because I am a bit smaller. See a little surge here by Joe up the right. I think he realized that the pace had dropped a bit, and I was thankful for the drop, but he had other plans. But we're still mostly all together. But coming up here with a couple miles to go, there are a few things that happen. So at one point, I do feel good. So I take the front a couple of times here, coming at the end, because I do feel good. I think maybe I've settled in enough that my legs are back. So yeah, I don't know if I'd call it an attack, but I do kind of push the pace quite a little bit at one point. And we'll see if it comes up. But for the most part, I mean, the group, we worked pretty well. Oh, here we go. So yeah, so I do, kind of want to take the front here. One, because I'm kind of curious about what I can feel like when I put a little effort in. So I take the front here, but not for too long. So yeah, I think I just wanted to see what I felt like. So I pushed the pace a bit. But everybody, I'm not really going for much of a gap at this point. But what I think I do end up doing is kind of tiring myself out. So we are, about 3 miles to go. And I think I flick the elbow here. Somebody else comes up. But I think what I was thinking is just to see how I felt. And I felt okay. But what I end up doing, I think, is to give Bill a chance to attack. So he's the orange and green and black. So at some point in the next mile-ish, I think, he will throw an attack and be off the front. And that the field, I don't know if I think they see that happen, but they don't bring him back right away, which is interesting. And I'm still, like I said, not really used to these tactics, but it's fun to think about these things during a race, and be able to maybe think about ways to improve your own position. So it's fun. It's a fun race. And while we kind of finish up here, I'll chat again at the end. But so to show how much of a different race this was, last year, it's actually a little bit shorter last year. It was like just over 25 miles for the race. And I think there was some road construction. So we wind up doing, for the 25.1-ish miles, we ended up doing an hour and 5 minutes. For the time, we averaged 23.8 miles per hour. I averaged 185 watts. So yeah, it was quite a bit different. This year, we did 25.5 miles, so slightly longer, just about that 40K. We averaged 25.3 miles per hour, or I did anyway, and we did it in just over an hour. Almost a full 2 mile an hour faster, and I was averaging 210 watts, so it was about 25 watts more than last year, so say over 10% more than last year. Which is kind of cool. And I don't improve my pace, don't improve my place more than last year, but I do feel much better about this race. Like last year, I just tried to hang on. I didn't really know what I was doing. It's just there. This year, I feel much better about like thinking about the tactics and thinking about what's happening. So yeah, I think I'm pretty proud of that. I think it shows, I guess shows an improvement on fitness, but it also shows, maybe a little more experience in terms of actually being in a race. So yeah, I'm happy with that. So right around here, let's see if we can see Bill's attack. It was maybe around this corner. I don't actually see it during the race. I didn't realize that somebody was attacking until he had a gap. So it did surprise me a bit, but yeah, it's great for him. It was like the absolute perfect time because I think the pace had slowed a little bit. Again, we were in that headwind, we're coming back. I think people might have been trying to, so you'll see so he just goes around the corner now, and then we're doing it now. So maybe 5-ish seconds. He might have had 5 to 10-ish seconds at one point. And so around here, I think I had a couple thoughts. I was feeling okay. You'll see my heart rate's below 170, which it wasn't for most of the race. So I'm feeling okay. So I think the pace I think everybody's kind of looking around thinking who's going to go. And that ends up being me at some point. So my thought, with about a mile left, was, all right, Bill's up the road. I really would like to bridge up to him and then try to stay away with him. That's best case. Best case scenario is that I can get a little gap on the field and they won't think that I'm much of a threat, and that they'll be able to catch us. So they don't, so that hopefully they wouldn't chase. So that was my thought. So right about here, I put in a little dig to have a little go. And yeah, I wanted to get up to Bill, and he is up the road. It's hard to see now because it's a little bit further up. And so that was the idea. I don't get a gap. So I think unfortunately the field kind of latches onto my wheel. And I probably should have gone a bit harder, but I think when I realized that, which is like kind of right about now, we're starting up this little hill and thinking, all right, well, they're definitely going to catch me. So maybe what I can do is slow down a bit. So you'll see my power start to drop a bit. So maybe I can slow down, and maybe I can like slow the field down enough so that they won't catch Bill up the road. Because again, like, we're friends. So it'd be amazing to see him win it. So that was the other thought. Neither one ended up happening, unfortunately, but it's very difficult to it's difficult to think about these things in real time when you've never done them. I've never competed for a win before. So at this point I'm still like looking up the road thinking Bill is still got a gap. But I also know at this point, like, I just threw my sprint down, basically. Like, that was my sprint to try to get a gap on the field, and it did not work. So there's no way that I'm keeping up with this sprint. And right now I'm just a spectator. I'm just looking up the road and seeing what's going on and hoping that Bill can, keep the field away. Because I have nothing left now, unfortunately. So I just kind of roll in for a 10th place finish. But I'm happy with that. So I was 10th overall, 4th in my age group. The field does catch Bill with just a couple meters to go at the end, unfortunately. But he definitely made a valiant effort. And yeah, that's the race done. But again, I am super happy with everything. I'm super happy with the way the race turned out. I am happy with my fitness from last year compared to this year. My overall racing mindset, I think, is quite a bit different. So the race was great. If you're in this area, they were talking, the attendance was down a little bit this year. So if you are in this area and you're still listening, thank you. First of all, you can sign up for next year. So it's the guys that run it are really good. The ones that are racing are also really nice and everything. They do a good job of the whole organization and everything, and it's for a good cause. They do a really nice picnic lunch afterwards, which is cool. Food and all that. So register for next year. So it should be even better. Anyway, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching. If not, then you won't hear this, but feel free to subscribe, and we will catch you next time. I think the next plans, I'll probably do some Zwift racing. This probably is the last race of the season, but until then, I will catch you next time. Thanks.